Ciao ragazzi. So I wanted to touch base on something that I've been thinking about and thought, would be good to share just because, if something is hitting my mind, then perhaps it's hitting someone else's. And so I talk a lot about, or I have been talking recently about realizing that I was in this place of, blocking my inner resources from being, you know, um, in cohesion with my external resources. And it was because I had sort of, a closed operating system. And I was trying to protect myself by trying to ensure that what I was portraying or putting out into the world would be appreciated or approved of and received as being perfect, so it wouldn't be criticized. And so you can see that that's like a real protection mechanism in trying to present perfection or control. And when outside influences, came in the form of trials or suffering or weakness, failures, you name it, then I was forced to dig beneath that kind of, ice queen barrier that was blocking all of my resources from being in cohesion, from living in integrity through action in my resources. And the interesting thing is that a lot of that, I think, is something that's all of us suffer from. And that's this idea of uncertainty and wanting to feel as though, we are in control of what's happening to us or what could happen to us. And so by having this kind of bravado of an exterior or this wellness mask that was just showing, oh no, everything's perfect, over here, it led me to feel like I was actually in control and like I was somehow dissipating the uncertainty of what could happen to me if I was like vulnerable or out there or, just anything that could influence my inner self or also take control from my external self. But when you really analyze that. So this is what I'm talking about, like doing the dig. Just do the dig. Analyze what is in there. Because when you really look at things and you go to the root of them, you realize how ridiculous some of the things are that we do. So for me, having perfectionist tendencies or all of these things that were this external operating system was to prevent uncertainty in at least one regard. And really, what kind of certainty do we actually have day in and day out? Like, do we really think that we are in complete control of what happens based upon the actions of what we're doing on the, external side of our resources in our life? So, because if you really look into that and analyze that, if I think that my actions are what actually drive the results of my life, then I really would be paralyzed from doing anything because my actions would mean everything. So if my actions were actually responsible for the result of my life and what's happening, day in and day out, then I would be paralyzed to get out of bed in the morning. Because it would mean that everything I do matters that much. I mean, everything I say in these videos could matter that much. And actually, I would be paralyzed from sharing this because I would think that everything I'm doing is monumentally important. And so I'm in control and thinking that this is somehow protecting me from uncertainty by portraying perfectionism or trying to actually be perfect or trying to be in control, when the truth is, thank goodness I'm not in control. Like, really, thank goodness I'm not in control. And so another way to analyze that is ask yourself, how many times in your life did you think that something should go one way and it went a different way? Did you think that you were going to marry someone? And thank goodness you didn't marry that person in retrospect. Did you think that you should go to one university and ended up at a different university? And now in retrospect, thank goodness you didn't go to that other university, because all of the things that have happened because of this, right? I met my husband at a club, at a club. And that wasn't my plan, but thank goodness I went that night. I was tired and I didn't go to see him. I went to see Joaquin Phoenix. So, our decisions aren't what actually get us to, I believe that it's like a partnership, in that our decisions actually are used in terms of getting us to where we need to be. But thank goodness it's not all on our shoulders. And asking myself the questions of how many times I would have made a decision, and thank goodness it didn't go that way, is one of the reasons that I know that I'm not in control. And instead of trying to have certainty, which would be like a mark of a common sense life, then what I really am hoping for is gracious uncertainty, and grasping uncertainty and living in a way where my decisions and my actions are in cohesion, cohesive with these resources, and that they're anchored on a belief system that I believe goes hand in hand with my decisions. And so I'm not at the core of what I hold my resources accountable to. And so what I hold all of my resources accountable to, I believe, is ultimately playing in partnership with my actions and what's happening day in and day out to try to get my life to wherever it needs to go. But thank goodness I'm not in complete control. Thank goodness I'm not in complete uncontrol. Because if I actually thought that I was if my actions didn't matter at all, then why do anything? Right? If my actions don't actually get me anywhere in life, then why be motivated to be a moral person? Why do good? It doesn't matter if they don't mean anything. So these two ways of analyzing actions and what they actually mean is something that has gotten me to a place of more freedom in realizing, okay, I'm not the God of my own life. I'm in partnership in terms of getting me to where I need to go. So my decisions do matter, but I'm not in complete control. And thank goodness, because of all of these different examples in my life that I can think back and think I was desperate for something to go in one direction, or definitely the 15-year-old me thought that these things needed to happen, and none of those things happened, and thank goodness they didn't happen, right? Or the things that I did do, and then the results that actually came from those things that weren't what I was trying to achieve, like going to a club and meeting my husband. And so I just want to encourage everyone to do these types of digs and try to think about why you believe things, or what it is that may be something that's happening in your resources, in your living resources. So like, what could be in there that's creating some sort of block? And for me, having the closed operating system as a preservation to try to be in control and to have some form of certainty, and to only put whatever I perceive to be perfect out there, is something that was just a waste of anxiety and time. And, I can feel more free and more alive by realizing that it's this kind of partnership mechanism, that I can have gracious uncertainty and be thankful for the fact that I'm not in complete control. And uncertainty is a good thing in terms of driving me forward, and knowing that I'm in a partnership with, and my responsibility is to keep these in line. And as long as I'm focused on what I believe in and allowing that to be, in cohesion with what I'm doing in action, then the results will come. And so if something does not go my way or the way I would have envisioned it or planned it, I'm not in shock. It's not like the shock and awe of, how could that not go exactly as I mapped it out? I'm like almost it's like a graciousness of saying, oh, okay, noted, different than I thought. Let's see where this goes. And it really helps those actions to have a lot less weight on them. And, helps me to realize and be thankful that I'm not my own God, but that I'm in a partnership to get somewhere. So hopefully that encourages someone or gives a new way of kind of analyzing truths that we hold or, barriers that may be, our own doing in our internal resources. And that's an example of how I have sat and dug and tried to get to a little bit more of a truth of what was really going on and come out with a little more clarity. And I'm very grateful for all of the trials and all of the challenges and failures and everything that could have been, heartbreaking at the time, but have gotten me to where I am today. So everything is clear in retrospect. And if we understand that, then we should be able to walk through the day knowing that there's some sort of purpose as to why it's going the way it is today, even if it is not the way that we would have planned, So have a great day. Talk to you soon.